Okay, in this video, what we're going to talk about is some of the key terms involved with binary and a little bit of history with them, what they mean, and whether or not there's any kind of gotchas there. So the most important term for use in binary is the 0 or 1 itself, which is called a bit. Now, bit is a term that comes from Bell Labs in the late 1940s, supposedly. None of these figures are completely, I can't guarantee they're accurate, but, and it stands for binary digit. So in binary, you have zeros and ones, and that's it, right? And what is a 0 or 1 called? It's called a bit. So when it's just spelled, well, as you can see there, B-I-T. When you put a bunch of bits together, you get a byte. Byte, spelled B-Y-T-E, is so that you don't confuse it with bit. Comes from the mid 50s over at IBM, and so typically it's 8 bits in 1 byte. It doesn't have to be. That's just kind of the convention that we have, and these days it really is 8 bits in 1 byte. I mean, you're just not really going to encounter situations where it's not that. If so, you are, probably very clear on all of this stuff already. So 8 bits in 1 byte. Why a byte? Well, a byte is a chunk, right? So you take a bite of some food and there you go, you get a piece. And it's a usable piece, right? So while a bit doesn't do much, a bunch of them put together is a useful thing, hence a byte. So much less common is a nibble. Now, if you might be, take a guess, how big do you think a nibble is? Well, a nibble's half a byte, really. So, because that's what it is in real life, right? You take a nibble, it's just a little bit less than a byte. The term nibble is sometimes it's N-I-B-B-L-E, sometimes it's N-Y-B-B-L-E. That's what I learned when I was growing up. And then sometimes it's just N-Y-B-L-E. So, you're not going to come across it usually anyway. So instead of 8 bits for a byte, it's 4 bits for a nibble. And so 4 bits will get you 1 hexadecimal digit. We're going to see, of course, in a later video, in another video, what that means, a hexadecimal digit, and so on. So, and nibble, it comes from the late 70s, supposedly over at Citibank. It's a interesting term that doesn't get used that much, but and so then, and the last term that really is relevant in binary is the word, and a word is how many bytes put together make up something basic to the computer itself that you're using. So whereas a byte tends to represent information that maybe kind of transfers from one system to another but stays together, a word is usually very specific to the computer it's running on, and it means pretty much just what is something of meaning here in this system, how big is it? 2 bytes, so 2 8-bit sections gives you a 16-bit section. That was for a long time a common word length. And if you remember any of the video game systems that were after the 80s, you had 16-bit systems, right? That was pretty cool, pretty advanced. And you put 2 bytes together and you get a lot more information per chunk. Well, then the common home desktop that ran, I say, Windows 95, we moved into 32-bit systems, and 32 bits is 4 bytes per word, and that's what that meant. So not that anybody in the general public wanted to hear that 32-bit computer meant a 4 8-bit byte word length. That didn't really make a lot of sense. That's what that is. And so if you ever come across the term word, and perhaps in programming, you might come across it, and someone says how, what's the word length of the system, right? And so, but well, you might come across it. Now you just know what it is, and you're not really going to have to deal with it. Bit and byte are the two that you really are going to deal with, and that you really should understand thoroughly. That sums it up.